Welcome to the Kingsford Flivver Flash. I'm Coach Van Duzen. This is Season 20, Episode 17, a Flivver Flashback. Sit down with Evan Phillips. Well, this is a really great episode. We get to sit down with 2019 Kingsford High School graduate Evan Phillips. Now, even though he's only been graduated for a year, he's already done a lot. He has since attended basic combat training for the Army, and he is currently stationed at Fort Riley, Kansas as a Blackhawk mechanic. So this is really neat and not really planned, but last podcast for episode 16, we had Eric Johnson, who is an Air Force veteran. This episode, episode 17, we have Evan Phillips, who is an Army, currently serving in the Army. And our next episode, episode 18, will be with a former Flivver who is in the United States Marine Corps. But right now we're going to sit down with Evan Phillips. All right, thanks for coming on, Evan.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, so just introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what you're doing now.
I'm Evan Phillips. As of right now, I'm currently stationed in Fort Riley, Kansas in the United States Army working on helicopters.
That's very cool. And you graduated in 2018.
2019.
Oh, I'm sorry, 2019.
Yep.
And then did you join the Army right away? How far after high school did you go to basic training?
I actually joined the Army between my junior and senior year. I enlisted, and then a month after graduation, I left for the Army.
Okay, and where did you do basic training at?
I did basic training down in Fort Jackson, South Carolina.
And then you had to do, tell us a little bit about your job school, because you have a really interesting job with the Army.
Yeah, so I'm a Blackhawk mechanic. So we go to school for 19 weeks and learn the different sections of the aircrafts and pretty much get certified on every single part. I can work with medevac units doing personnel recovery, or I can do air assault, helping people get out.
Yeah, I went to air assault school in 2003. So that was a long time ago. And right now you're a PV2?
Yeah.
And getting ready to be promoted. Is that just a time and grade, time and service?
Yep, that is just time and grade, time and service.
Awesome. That's exciting. And then tell us, like when you're at Blackhawk Mechanics School, did you work on every part of the aircraft, or did you have to specialize like on the engine or specialize on the avionics? Like how does that break down?
So we do a little bit of everything as a Blackhawk mechanic. There's certain things that other shops will do, like there's an avionics shop that'll do just avionics stuff, but we'll also help out with them or help them out. And there's shops that just do engines, and we'll also help them out. We do all the heavy lifting for them. But I pretty much touch everything on the aircraft. Anything on that aircraft I'm involved in.
That's awesome. And is it just standard like tools that we would find at a regular tool shop, or are they specialized, or a little bit of both?
There's a little bit of both. It's mostly regular, just plain old tools, but then there's some really high-end, expensive tools that I don't need to break because they're expensive, and I don't want to. They're expensive.
That's really cool. It's got to be similar to, but maybe just a little bit different than like changing the fuel pump on your car.
Oh yeah, it's not as complicated as you would think. There's a book that I follow that walks me through every step of the aircraft and every procedure I got to do to fix that part or replace it.
And I'm sure there's a pretty strenuous quality control protocol on the aircraft. Like every part you touch probably has to be certified by somebody that it's correct, I'm assuming.
Yes, so we pretty much have what's called a technical inspector that looks over our shoulder whenever we're doing something, just to make sure everything is A-okay, because an aircraft you can't just pull off to the side of the road.
Right. If my Humvee in Iraq or Afghanistan was broken down, we just pull over and pull security and we're fine. That doesn't necessarily happen on a helicopter.
No,
So
there's a lot of lives at stake if something goes wrong.
now, would you have the option to say go work on Chinooks or Kiowas or some other helicopter, or are you strictly Blackhawk?
As of right now, I'm strictly Blackhawk. But if I went, there's more schooling I would have to go to in order to start working on different stuff.
Okay, but that, I mean, that could be an option in the future.
It could very well be an option in the future for me if I so chose to.
Okay, well, that's really cool. That's a really cool job, and we're really proud of you from here in Kingsford, Michigan, all the way down to Fort Riley, Kansas. So let's shift gears, and this is a Flivver flashback, so we're going to talk a little bit of football. Tell us what you did here at Kingsford football-wise, when you started and what positions you played, and just walk us through that.
I started back when I was in 5th grade, played Pop Warner for 4 years, I believe it was. When I went to high school, played 3 years of high school football. During those 7 years of football, I played anywhere on the line. Went from tight end to center, both sides of the ball. Played defensive tackle, nose tackle, defensive end. I played linebacker. I've been all over.
That's awesome. And as an offensive and defensive line guy myself, that's where we make our money. And anybody can take a football and run through the hole, but we got to make it for them. So I just made a bunch of running backs angry. That's all right. They'll get over it.
Yeah, they will.
So what was your favorite position, regardless of grade? It could have been 5th grade, could have been your senior year. What was your favorite spot to play?
Definitely, probably linebacker, I would have to say.
Why is that?
Because I was able to hit those holes hard and stop them right in their tracks.
That is a good time, and you can kind of see the play develop right in front of you. And oh, there's the hole. Hammer time. So tell us what was one of your favorite memories from all those years of playing football here at Kingsford?
Just all the camaraderie with the team, friendships that I've made, and the good times we've had throughout the years.
Do you still keep track of some of those guys? I know you've only been out of school a year, but
yeah, once in a while. I mean, being down here, it's hard to stay in touch with everybody. I'm on a different schedule than everybody else is, so
sure,
which makes it difficult. But I do the best I can to keep in touch with some of them.
Yeah. So that was. Let's hear a funny story you got. I know we've heard everything from. I don't remember who it was, but they said that I think it was Sawyer Perpich throwing up at practice all the way to, something crazy that happened on the bus. Tell us a funny story while you're playing Kingsford football.
Oh, where do I start?
Or more than one.
Let's see. There's just funny stuff that happens in the locker room, either post-game, pre-game, middle of the game. If we're up by big in the middle of the game, there's some fun stuff that happens in the locker room.
Maybe not appropriate for a family show.
No, maybe not. But it's some good times.
It was. And I had the honor of coaching the 1 year, and I had you on there and the rest of the seniors. And for me, it was really special to be able to coach with Chris Hofer for his last year.
Yeah.
And that was pretty special because I played for him. And now we have Coach Navarra, who was a volunteer my senior year. So getting to coach with Chris and Mark has just been a really great experience. Along with this past year, I coached with Kevin Murdoch. Did you have Coach Murdoch? Yeah.
I had Coach Murdoch in freshman year, I believe. Freshman or sophomore year.
Okay.
I can't remember.
Yeah. So I know those are some, old guys in the game that we can learn a lot from.
Yeah.
Not just football wise, but kind of life stuff. So kind of taking the football to the Army, was there any lessons you learned during football that helped you when either you went to basic training or job school or in your current position now?
Well, the teamwork that was in the football kind of led over to the Army. because I gotta work with so many different people at so many different times, and then the hard work and dedication that it takes to be on in the football team, kind of drove itself over into the Army as well.
That's very true. And I look at the teamwork thing. I always say, having been in the Army for a while myself, I say a football team, that's like the closest you're going to get to a close-knit Army unit, because you're with each other multiple hours a day.
Very true.
You have to share the locker room together. You're out in the mud and the rain and the snow and the hot and everything else together. And like, you go through all those things together. So when it comes time, fourth quarter, it's 4th and 1. You have the men to your left and your right, and you can trust them because you've had to. And I see kind of similarities in the Army that way.
That is very true.
So, well, you've gone through Kingsford football, and now you've gone through basic training, and you're living life. What are some words of wisdom you might have for high schoolers now? Either maybe they're going to their senior year, or we got a bunch of 8th graders who are just getting ready to start their freshman football year and their journey as Flivver football players. So what's some tips or tricks that you have, words of wisdom for them?
Embrace the suck. It's gonna suck sometimes, but just embrace it. You won't regret it after.
Yeah, embrace the suck. That's a good old classic Army term there.
Make the most of it. Every play counts. Yep. If I could go back to playing football, I would in a heartbeat.
Yeah. Well, this has been awesome, and I appreciate you taking time out of your day. I know Army schedules don't always lend themselves to just talk whenever you want. So I want to say thanks a lot for coming on the show, and hope you're doing well with the Army.
Thanks for having me.
Well, that will do it for Season 20, Episode 17 of the Kingsford Flivver Flash, where we sat down with 2019 graduate Evan Phillips, currently serving with the United States Army. So we want to thank you for your service, Evan, and we wish you all the best. As always, we ask you go down in the show notes, or if you're watching on YouTube, go down in the video notes and give us a like, hit that notification bell, subscribe, retweet, share with your friends, do all the things that are good. And we will have a member of the United States Marine Corps on next time, Jack Zimmerman. So make sure that you stay tuned for that episode. Until next time, this is Coach Van Dusen. Invest in tomorrow by owning today.